The Lost Word in the Wood. Letter play, ordeal and translation in the Virgin's poem of the Chemische Hochzeit. The third day of Johann Valentin Andre's Chemische Hochzeit. Christiani Rosenkreuz anno 1459. Is structured around a public trial. Guests who have answered the invitation to the royal wedding are brought into a great hall. A virgin, acting with authority, orders a set of scales to be prepared. Before the weighing begins, she recites a short poem of 4 stanzas. The poem appears at first reading to be a straightforward moral warning against pretension. Those who claim knowledge they do not possess, who enter an order to which they were never called, who appear at a wedding uninvited, and who mount the scale without true weight will be held up to public ridicule. Immediately after the recitation, the testing of the candidates begins.
The German text is as follows, wherein eine smale Stuben geht. Wenn sich vor im Nehmale nichts versteht, red doch davon mit großem Pracht, der wird von männiglich verlangt. Wer sich nun gibt den Künstlerorden, wenn ist doch nicht erwählet worden, wenn Kunst doch mit großem Pracht, der wird von männiglich verlangt. Wer zu einer Hochzeit bald erscheint, fand es doch niemal worden gemeint, und komme doch mit großem Pracht, der wird von männiglich verlangt. Wer nun auf diese Waag wird steigen, die Gewicht in der Nit werde wiegen, Wind fährt alsbald auf, dass es kracht, soll sein von männiglich verlangt. A purely semantic reading yields a conventional rebuke of false claimants, yet the poet is also organized by its initial letters. Third stanza produces the sequence by Wode. In the orthographic conventions of the early 17th century, this resolves without strain into word. The second stanza produces the third stanza breaks the pattern. The poem therefore carries 2 clear signatures in its left margin, word once and word twice. The repetition of lordys of a single occurrence might be dismissed as coincidence, or double the canons begins to look like consistence. The material and verbal signature stand side by side at the precise moment when the candidates are about to be tested for true weight. Ashmoy and the semantic field of wood, the force of the word signature becomes clearer when it is read through the lens of Elias Ashmoy's preface to the Theatrum Chemicum Britannicum. Ashmoy, writing as both antiquary and alchemist, notes that the ancient Germans honored Mercury above the other gods and called him Whotan. He then records a living English I of that name in so much that we to this very day retain the word wood among us to signify fierce, furious, raging. And so the mercury of the philosophers is shadowed under the fierce and terrible names of lion, dragon, poison, and sea. Ashmore's remark does three things at once. First, it links the divine name Whotan to the ordinary English word wood. Taking it preserves the old sense of wood as mad, furious, or raging fur. Explicitly identifies that furious or the G word, the philosophical mercury, the volatile transformative agent that appears in alchemical texts under a series of dangerous and trauma-covered names. The repeated German acrostic word therefore opens onto a triple register, the god, the surviving English word for rage, and the mercurial principle that must be confronted and worked. Whotan's ordeal. The mythic dimension is sharpened by the central narrative attached to Whotan himself in the well-known account preserved in the Havamal. The god hangs for 9 nights on the world tree, wounded by his own spear, without food or drink until the runes are revealed to him. He sacrifices himself to himself. The ordeal is the condition of the word. Wisdom is not granted, it is extracted through suspension, pain, and voluntary exposure to the limit. At present resonates strongly with the situation staged in the Kimbische Hochzeit. The candidates who step onto the scale without true weight are those who refuse the ordeal. They wish to speak as artists, to enter the order, to appear at the wedding and to rise on the balance, yet they have not undergone the testing that alone confers legitimacy. The virgin's poem by writing verb twice into its margin at the threshold of the weighing, quietly invokes the god who submitted to the ordeal by which the word is gained. The lost word is not an abstract doctrine, it is bound to the figure who hung upon the wood in order to recover it. The Rosicrucian lost word within the broader Rosicrucian and later Masonic tradition. The lost word occupies a central place. It is the true name or principle that was present at the foundation and subsequently withdrawn. The work of the initiators orients since toward its recovery in the German poem. The lost word is not announced in the grammatical sense of the lines. It is inscribed in the initial letters. The poem warns against false speech while simultaneously encoding the missing true speech. It rebukes those who climb without weight, while naming through bib the ordeal that alone confers weight. The text performs the trial. It describes down from wood to Whotan becomes available only when material reading is allowed to open into the mythic. Fourth, the remark that a good Rosicrucian would know this is not an appeal to secret doctrine in the vulgar sense. It is a claim about cultivated competence. The tradition expects its readers to move fluidly among acrostic, anagram, pun, technical term, latter placement, and mythic resonance. The current puttings is demonstrated by the ability to notice and then to articulate the relations that the text itself makes available. The shape of the exchange. Initiatory horizon familiar to the English antiquarian alchemical mind. Each step
Without the English acrostic, the question of Foxcroft's agency does not arise with the same force. Without the recognition of Foxcroft's agency, the German letter play is less likely to be examined with equal care. Without the recovery of ordey, the turn to Whotan remains unavailable. Without both linguistic systems, the larger claim about expected Rosicrucian competence remains abstract. The entire sequence occupies a small textual space, the 4 short stanzas of a single poem, yet it opens onto questions of translation as creative act, of writer play as initiatory grammar, of the difference between a text's original linguistic body and the body it acquires in another language, and of the readiness of certain English readers to hear a Germanic god speaking through the grain of the wood. The observations did not begin with those large questions. They began with the simple act of reading the left margin of Foxcroft's lines and noticing that the letter spelled ways 3 times. From that noticing, the rest was shown until the wood itself began to speak the name of Whotan. Coda on method. The method implicit in the exchange is worth stating plainly. One begins with the most local and verifiable feature. One then tests out that feature, generates further coherent relations inside the same text. One then checks the original language to determine what belongs to the translator and what belongs to the source. One then asks whether the source itself contains analogous but different formal devices. One then allows the material reading to
tradition that produced and transmitted the text. All of this was pointed out in stages through attention to a single poem. The length of the present account is proportional not to the length of the poem, but to the number of relations that become visible once the first observation is granted, and then third, until the wood yields Whotan.